Our next speaker, assuming he is here, leads the House Committee on Veterans Affairs as chairman. Throughout the Access to Care crisis, which began in Phoenix, he was a determined advocate for reform and delivered critical oversight at a time when it was deeply needed. I am pleased to introduce Chairman Jeff Miller from the 1st District of Florida.
Good to see you again, sir. Friend. How are you? Good morning, everybody. It's great to be with you today. I want to thank you for being here on behalf of America's veterans. And I would just start off by saying, from local Legion chapters to the halls of Congress to the Department of Veterans Affairs, you and your organization are making a difference. For over 100 years, you have been working and fighting and bringing to the attention of the American people and certainly to Congress the necessary things that must be done in order to ensure that the benefits that have been earned are in fact given, and that tradition is alive and well today. Now look, as America watched last year a scandal unfold at VA unlike any scandal that has ever befallen that agency, we saw a lack of accountability, a lack of transparency, unlike anything that had ever been seen in the federal government. But you took an active role, your organization on the Hill, in educating members of Congress, certainly other federal agencies, and the public about the extent of VA's problems at the epicenter, especially in Phoenix, Arizona. And you did make a difference. Your efforts helped pave the way for really some of the most significant changes to the Department of Veterans Affairs in history. With your help, Congress passed and the President signed the Veterans Access, Choice, and Accountability Act. And this historic piece of legislation did three things. First, it grants the VA complete authority to fire failing executives, and it's really the most significant change to the civil service arena that we've seen in decades. It starts a larger conversation about how we can reform the department to make it better, because we are going to go through a one-year, top-to-bottom review from an independent authority, not from within the department itself, to see exactly what changes need to be made. And of course, thirdly and most importantly, the piece called choice, which is still finding its way out into the far-flung corners of our country, to give the veteran who lives 40 miles away from a facility or is on a waiting list for longer than 30 days the opportunity to go somewhere else instead of just be inside of the system, which VA has been trying to do for really its entire life. But after 9 months, I still have to ask, where in the world is the accountability portion? And when you ask, VA, they don't have a good answer. In fact, in the wake of the biggest scandal in VA history, which centered on appointment wait time manipulation, not a single VA senior executive has been fired for data manipulation. Meanwhile, employees at the heart of the scandal have been placed on paid administrative leave for months on end. And that's why our focus remains on giving the Secretary more tools to ensure that corrupt and incompetent executives face serious consequences for mismanagement and negligence that harms our veterans. To that end, this year, I've introduced the Increasing VA Accountability to Veterans Act. We love to have long titles to our bills, but basically what this bill does is sets reforms in place that would increase accountability by allowing the Secretary to reduce a senior executive's pension upon conviction of a crime. Right now, if an executive commits a crime while they are in the employ of the VA that deals specifically with their job, the Secretary can't reach back and do anything with their pension. Their pension remains fully in place. And we've got to find a way that if somebody's been manipulating data or lying to the people that they are supposed to speak to, if they've been harming veterans while they've been doing this, they should not be able to retire at their full pension. And we've got to reduce waste by limiting the amount of times that executives can be put on paid administrative leave. And finally, the bill would help end VA's everybody gets a bonus culture by ensuring that only the best of the executives can qualify for a bonus. The bill is a more comprehensive companion to H.R. 280, another effort that I'm championing that would give the VA Secretary complete authority to recoup for cause bonuses that are paid to a corrupt VA employee. It is amazing to me that when a lot of this erupted and with the Legionella issue came to light in Pittsburgh, and I started finding out that these people were given tens of thousands of dollars in bonuses. And I asked the Secretary, why don't you just take them back? And they said, we can't. We've got to find a way to allow the Secretary to reach back and now give the employee the opportunity to appeal, and I get that, but we've got to find a way to take away bonuses from the folks that manipulate the system just to get the bonus, which is exactly what was done in the wait time. I don't think, by your reaction today, that VA supports giving bonuses to people or allowing them to retire at their full pension when they've manipulated the system and broken the law. It just is not the right thing to do. You know, another thing that we need to focus on is the whistleblowers that brought a lot of this to light. Dr. Foote, Dr. Mitchell in Phoenix, people that are bringing to Congress's attention issues that we need to know about to provide the oversight that we are charged by the Constitution to do, because we do, as a co-equal branch of government, have a responsibility of oversight, but we have got to encourage more whistleblowers to come forward and tell us their story, and as they come forward, we've got to protect them from retaliation and punishment just because they were trying to tell somebody the truth. The truth is important. And that's one of the things that accountability requires, is that people, in fact, will tell the truth. So I've introduced a Retaliation Prevention Act for this year, and basically it provides VA whistleblowers with the means to solve problems at the lowest level possible while offering them protection from reprisals and real accountability for those who reprise against them. And I would say that legislation isn't going to solve all this by itself. You know that. We've got to have a VA that is trying. And while VA is trying to fix some of these problems, their past struggles with transparency, with honesty, and with accountability, we have to trust but verify what they're telling us. Three overarching areas where VA needs to improve are accountability, transparency, and honesty. Leaders at all levels, as well as Department of Justice officials who have been extremely reluctant to prosecute in the wake of various VA failures, have to realize that we're more than 9 months away from the Phoenix scandal. The veterans and their families deserve closure. Unfortunately, I do have concerns that we're not seeing the accountability that is proportionate to the enormous misconduct and breach of trust that occurred at VA. Given the fact that 110 VA medical centers maintained secret waiting lists. 110 had secret waiting lists. I would expect the numbers of VA scandal-related firings to be in the hundreds, if not thousands. So far, there have been 8. 8. Look, quite simply, any VA administrator who purposely manipulated appointment data, covered up problems related against whistleblowers, or was involved in malfeasance that harmed veterans have to be fired. If VA is to regain the trust of America's veterans, America's Congress, and the American people, it's going to have to place a premium on transparency. Historically, the department has refused to engage in constructive and honest conversation about its challenges. Routinely, they have ignored media inquiries and slow-rolled Congress when we've made requests for information. But I will tell you, in some areas, that's beginning to change. Our veterans deserve a VA that sets the standard for openness, for honesty, and for transparency. Honesty is also key to restoring the department's reputation. VA has a history of sugarcoating its problems and overstating its ability to solve these problems. Case in point is the VA scandal in which dozens upon dozens of VA officials simply lied about health care wait times for years rather than admit they could not meet VA's stated goals. Unfortunately, that type of approach doesn't help the department, and certainly it doesn't help the millions of veterans that languished on the waiting list. So moving forward, we cannot accept anything less than complete honesty and candor from VA officials in their dealings with Congress, with the veterans, and with the public. When problems arise, VA must identify them and work with us and the Veterans Service Organization community to generate solutions instead of sweeping them under the rug. And when VA employees fall short of this threshold, the department must move quickly to hold them accountable. And I'm pledging today to work with you to get that job done, because we're going to continue fighting to reform the VA into an organization truly worthy of the veterans that it's charged with serving. I'm proud to have the great men and women of the American Legion working with us in this fight. You deserve nothing less. And thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this morning. Thank you for your service, and God bless the United States of America.
You ought to run for president. All right, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll see you.